Good morning. Welcome to Vinyasa Flow, not Yin today. I think I did that recently. Okay. We'll start today on our backs. There's always so many ways to start on your back, especially for a more active practice, I think is nice. So rest the head down. Let's keep the soles of the feet to the mat. You can heel toe the feet wide, let the knees touch in the center. Knocking the knees together. Backs of the arms are resting down by the sides, backs of the hands resting off the mat, head's heavy. Take a deeper breath in through the nose. Sigh it out the mouth. Two more like that one. Deep breath in. Exhale out through the mouth. Inhale in through the nose. Bigger breath in. Let it all go out through the mouth. This time in through the nose. As slow as you can, back out through the nose. Keep going. Bringing all your attention to your breath control. Interlace the fingers back behind the head, resting the head in the hands. So let the elbows be wide. Heel toe the feet closer together and the knees will come apart. And then bring the knees in toward the chest. So you're hugging the belly in, thighs are coming in toward the chest, head still resting down on the hands. And then extend the legs up. But instead of bringing the legs in toward the face, bring them away from you just so the heels and the hips are lined up, or at least feel like they are. Squeeze the legs together like you have one leg. So inner thighs are squeezing together, inner edges of the feet are squeezing together. Still hugging the core in. Look up. So don't look at the feet. Take an inhale where you are. On the exhale, stay looking up. Lift the chest up and away from the mat. You'll feel the core go in toward the spine. Inhale back. Exhale up. Keep squeezing the legs. Inhale back. Exhale up. Inhale back. Exhale up. Inhale back. Exhale up. Stay up. You can stay here with the legs or move the legs out from you like a third of the way. That's harder. Skip it if you don't want it. Inhale back. Exhale up. Or if it brings any discomfort anywhere, skip it. Inhale back. Exhale up. Make sure you're not using your neck. Inhale back. If you are, support the head more. Exhale up. Inhale back. Exhale up. Little different this time. Inhale back. Exhale up. Stay up. Lower the feet. So we want the feet to be hovering away from the mat, but pretty low. And then widen the feet, hip width distance, or maybe a little bit wider. Scissor kicks, but you're going sideways. So you'll just cross the feet one on top of the other as you go back and forth. You can stay with the gaze going toward the feet. You can look up. Just keep the head supported. Try to keep the breath steady and even. Inner thighs are still squeezing in toward one another. And legs are strong. And then bring the knees in toward the chest. Rest the head back down onto the mat. You can rock side to side. Set the feet down onto the mat. Extend the legs out in front of you. Keep the feet hip width distance apart and then cross the right ankle on top of the left ankle. Reach the arms overhead. Clasp opposite elbows, resting the arms up overhead. And then just the upper body lifts up and over to the left a little bit. So make sure you can still get both shoulder blades down, both hips down on the mat, head resting, coming into a banana shape. And stretching out the core along with the whole side body. Maybe even the outer right leg. We don't all feel the same thing when we come into poses. So you might feel some of those, might feel all of those. Lift the head and upper body back up, bring it back to center, uncross the feet, left foot on top of the right foot, legs are straight. Switch the clasp of the forearms, lift the upper body up and over to the right. This is also a nice upper body opening, a good one to start with. Both hips are down, both shoulder blades are down. Sometimes we get so focused with leaning over to the right that the left side of the body begins to lift. Upper body lifts, bring it back to center, uncross the feet, reach the arms away from the body, reach the legs away from the body, hug the knees in toward the chest. You can keep the head resting down on the mat. And then if you have anything going on the back, roll over to your right side and come up to seated. If you don't, you can grab onto the backs of the thighs and rock up and down the spine. See how that feels. Maybe you go 3-4 times. And eventually we'll all end up seated on the mat. Come to a cross-legged seat. Let's bring the left shin in front of the right. Shift side to side a little bit so you feel even on the sit bones. And then walk the left hand out to the left. Right arm reaches up and over. So getting into that side body again. That right hip is down on the mat, planted as you reach away from it. Chest is forward. So sometimes the chest wants to go down toward the ground. Keep it going forward. Right arm can reach up and over. Some of us like to bring the right hand behind the head. Maybe that helps you open up the chest more. That's up to you. Might be a different shoulder opening too. Right arm up and over if you've bent it. Come back to center. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up overhead. Fold over the legs. So first hip opening, keep it gentle. Can let the head and the neck go. If you have blocks, you could put a block underneath the head or two. Not your deepest hip opening. Make sure you're still with your breath, especially with the hip openings. It's a tighter area to get into and needs a little bit more love. Walk the hands back in toward the body, hands back behind you, lean back, switch the crossing of the legs, right shin in front of the left shin, maybe shift side to side till you feel even. Right hand goes out to the right, left arm reaches up and over, getting into that side body. Both hips are down. Lengthen the left side body, keep the chest going forward. If you did it on the first side, you could play with bringing the back of the left hand to the head, still reaching up and over, chest open. Left arm extends up and over if it's bent. Use that left arm to bring you back up to seated. Once you're even, inhale, reach the arms all the way up. On the exhale, fold forward over the legs. You might be in a different spot on this side. That's okay. Just trying to find the same amount of a hip opening on this side, what that feels like. Listen to the sound of your own breath. Come back up to seated. You'll come up to hands and knees, tabletop. So once you come to hands and knees, setting up for cat-cow, stack the joints, shoulders over the wrists, hips over the knees. On the inhale, reach the heart forward, lift the tail, keep that support of the lower belly hugging in. On the exhale, rounding the spine, scoop the belly, chin in toward the chest. Keep going, inhaling forward, exhaling back. One more cycle. Take your time with it. Making your way back to a neutral spine. Once you get there, step the feet back behind you. Shoulders are still stacked over the wrists, coming into plank pose, top of a push-up. So try to engage all the muscles in the entire body. And when you look down on the hands, you don't want them to be bubbling up away from the mat. So all the knuckles press down into the mat. Fingers aren't touching because they're spread evenly. And the index fingers are pointing straight forward, maybe a little bit out if you want more space for the shoulders. You just don't want them to rotate in. That takes away space from the shoulders. And then with the upper body, you don't want to be sinking into the joints. So hug the muscles around the bone. Make sure there's some flexibility in the joints so they're not locked. And we'll slowly start to lower down to the mat. You could bring the knees down first or shift forward onto the toes, bend the elbows, start to lower down. Tops of the feet rest down on the mat. Bring the hands back behind you. Bring the palms of the hands to the mat. So the arms are stretched back behind you. They're straight. Tops of the feet press down. Make sure you're even on the tops of the feet so you're not rolling to the inner or outer edges of the feet. Lift the arms up, keep the feet down. So arms are squeezing together. It's like you're bringing the pinkies in toward the body, or like someone has your wrists and they're pulling them back and you're reaching the heart forward. Back of the neck stays long and slowly release. So arms can come down. You can turn the head to one side, close the eyes, and now you let the body go. So the ankles can roll out, the upper back can round. And that was your first back bend. We'll do two more. Press into the tops of the feet, reach the arms back behind you, bring the palms so they face one another. Press into the tops of the feet, lift and spread the chest, keep reaching the arms back. Tail points toward the heels. Slowly let that go. Arms rest down by the sides. Turn the head the other way if the neck's okay with that, and rest. Start to feel the heartbeat pick up a little bit. One more of those. Press into the tops of the feet. Squeeze the hands together, palms facing one another, so thumbs down toward the mat. Press into the tops of the feet, lift the chest up, reach the arms back, look down the bridge of the nose. Lower back is long. And release. This time, bring the left forearm in front of the face, bend the right leg, reach back, see if you can grab the top of the right foot. Make sure the right knee's pointing straight back and it's not going out to the right. You can either keep the chest lifted, you just did some back bend, so that would be more of a back bend, or you can rest the forehead down on the forearm. And that's a little bit more relaxing. You can just focus on the quad stretch, bringing the heel in. There could be a little bit of movement of the foot going into the hand. And switch sides. Release that right foot, right forearm in front of the face, bend the left leg, reach back, grab for that left foot, bring it in. Knees are side by side. Chest is lifted or forehead down toward resting on the arm. Quad is long. And release that left foot down to the mat, hands to the mat, come up to hands and knees. Take it to child's pose. Big toes together, forehead comes down. Stretch the arms out in front of you. Then lift the head up, thread the left arm through underneath the body, turn the head to the right, rest the side of the head down on the mat. So L shape with the arms, still in child's pose, but we're just changing the upper body. Come back to child's pose, left arm reaches forward, right arm threads through underneath you, bring the right side of the head down to the mat. Back to child's pose, forehead comes down. Then lift the head, look forward at the hands, shift forward to hands and knees, tuck the toes, lift the hips up and back, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. So plenty of time here to pedal out the feet, keep a deep bend in the knees. See what you need out of this first one. If you want some movement or a little bit more space. Then look forward, step the right foot up between the hands, coming into a runner's lunge. Feet are hip width distance apart. Let's bring the left knee down to the mat. Reach the arms all the way up overhead. So you're in a low lunge, back knee is down. We'll get into that shoulder blade again. Bend the left arm, grab for the left elbow, lift the upper body up and over to the right. Left quads lengthening down. You're lifting up out of the left side body. Come back up to center, reach the arms up overhead. Left arm reaches forward, right arm reaches back. So stay looking forward just to get this set up. Hug the core in, reach back with that right arm. Keep the gaze here or look to the right, maybe even at that back hand. Right knee still pointing forward. That also helps with your stability. Keeping the hips forward. So body stays the same. Just bring the gaze back forward. Left hand comes down to the mat. Right arm reaches up. Tuck the back toes. Lift the back knee. Right hand comes down to the mat. Step back. Downward facing dog. Left foot steps up between the hands. Start with the runner's lunge. Then you'll bring that right knee down to the mat. Reach the arms forward all the way up overhead. Bend the right elbow. Grab onto the right elbow. Lift the upper body up. Then over to the left. Lengthening the right side body. Come back through to center. Both arms reach up. Right arm reaches forward. Left arm reaches back. Stay with the gaze going forward. Open the chest to the left. Core hugs in. Maybe change the gaze looking to the left or at that back hand. Then you'll feel the engagement in the legs to keep you stable. Gaze starts to come back forward if you changed it. Right hand comes down to the mat, right underneath the shoulder. Lift the left arm up. Tuck the back toes. Lift the back knee. Left hand comes down to the mat. Step back. Downward facing dog. Bend the knees, look forward to the top of the mat, tiptoe the feet forward, up between the hands. So take small steps, maybe keeping the legs straight as you walk them forward. On an inhale, come up halfway. Find the back bend here. You're just coming up halfway, reaching the heart forward. Exhale, fold. 2 more like that, Ardha Uttanasana. Inhale up halfway, hug the belly in, reach the heart forward. Exhale, fold. Last one. Inhale up halfway, broaden across the collarbones. Exhale, fold. This time, circle the arms all the way up to standing. Hands come together overhead, down in front of the heart. Surya A. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold, bend the knees, hands to the mat, step back to plank pose, lower all the way down to the mat, resting the body on the mat, reach the arms back behind you, point the toes back behind you. This time, lift the hands and the feet. Not as high as you can go, keep it long, more than high. Chest can lift, but don't lift the feet up too high. Then set the feet down, hands come down to the mat, tuck the toes, fire it up to plank pose, lift the hips up and back, downward facing dog. 3 breaths. Bend the knees, look forward to the top of the mat, step, walk, get the feet up between the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Circle the arms all the way up to standing. Hands come together overhead, down in front of the heart. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold, bend the knees, hands to the mat, step back to plank pose, shift forward onto the toes, bend the elbows halfway, chaturanga, stay here, hug the core in, knees can always come down, set the body all the way down to the mat, tops of the feet down, reach the arms back, squeeze the hands together, hover the feet away from the mat, reach the heart forward, lift the chest, squeeze the arms. Exhale, set the feet down, hands come down, tuck the toes, hug the outer elbows in, lift the legs, then hug the core in, press yourself up to plank pose. Hips go up and back, down dog. Bend the knees, look to the top of the mat, get the feet up between the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Circle the arms all the way up to standing. Hands come together, down in front of the heart. So playing with our vinyasas a little bit today. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold, bend the knees, hands to the mat, step back to plank pose, shift forward onto the toes, bend the elbows halfway, chaturanga, hover, set the body down onto the mat, all in one line, point the toes back, reach the arms back, Shalambhasana, lift the chest, tail points back, try not to lift the feet too high. They're in line with the hips, so it's pretty low. Then exhale, release, hands to the mat, tuck the toes, hug those outer elbows in. You could come up to chaturanga first, which is a lot harder than coming all the way up to plank pose. So if you hover up to chaturanga, then to plank, then to down dog. So that's if you're looking for an added challenge. Skip it if you feel like you've got enough of a challenge. Bend the knees, look to the top of the mat, bring the feet up between the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Circle the arms all the way up to standing. Hands come together, down in front of the heart. So one more of those. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold, bend the knees, hands to the mat, step back to plank pose. Shift forward onto the toes. Point the elbows straight back, bending them halfway. Lower all the way down onto your stomach. Point the toes back, reach the arms back. Lift, Shalambhasana, locust pose. Exhale, release. Hands to the mat, tuck the toes. Maybe chaturanga, plank, down dog. 3 breaths. Lift the right leg up and back, coming into a 3-legged down dog. Try to keep those toes on the right foot pointing down and still pulling that outer left hip back. Bring the knee in toward the nose. Step the right foot all the way through, up between the hands. Feet are hip width distance apart. You're coming up for crescent pose. Dig down into that right leg. Reach up with the arms. Make sure there's some weight in the back leg. You can always bring a bend in that back knee to give as much space to your lower back as it needs. Otherwise, you can go to a straighter back leg, but just listen to that lower back to figure out where it should be. Try to keep the shoulders away from the ears. So you want to keep that length in the neck. So as you lengthen the sides of the neck, it's the space between the shoulder blades that lowers down, the crown of the head goes up. Straighten the front leg. So squeeze those outer hips in toward the midline as you straighten the front leg up. Turn the toes to the left. So you're facing this side of the mat. Bring the hands together down in front of the heart. Heels in, toes out, not as wide as you can go. Chest stays lifted. So as you press down to the legs, lift the chest. Then slowly start to bend the knees, keeping the chest lifted. So you're coming into a wide-legged squat, goddess. It's your first one. Maybe keep it a little higher than usual, whatever that is for you, just to introduce the pose. You'll have plenty of opportunities to go deeper. Belly hugs in. So as you lift the lower belly, the tail points straight down to the mat. You don't want it pointing back behind you. That also helps you keep that straight vertical spine. Gaze is straight forward, eye level. Press back up into the legs, straightening the legs. Point the toes straight forward. Angle on the left toes. Turn the right toes all the way out. Warrior 2 facing the top of the mat, front of the mat. So chest is still right over the hips. You don't want to lean forward. Back leg is just as strong as the front leg. So it's that left quad that presses back behind you to straighten the leg. Then you also push that left hip forward toward the right hip. Lengthening that right inner thigh forward and the right outer thigh back. Okay, straighten the front leg, flip the front palm up, reach up and back, reverse triangle. So getting you out of that front leg for a sec. Send the right knee straight forward, reverse warrior. So bent leg, straight leg, bent leg, straight leg. And windmill the hands down to the mat. Step back to plank pose. Lower down halfway chaturanga. All the way down onto your stomach. Tops of the feet to the mat. Reach the arms back behind you. Shalambhasana. Feet can be down or up. If it's bothering your lower back, keep the feet down and just lift the upper body up. Set the feet down, hands down, tuck the toes, chaturanga or plank. All the way up to plank, downward facing dog. So it's a lot of core to bring your body up in one line from the ground, but it's fun to play with every once in a while, see where you're at. Left leg reaches up and back. Pull that outer right hip back. Lift the left inner thigh up. Knee to nose. Step the left foot all the way through to the top of the mat. Feet are hip width distance apart. Take it up to crescent pose. Maybe a bend in that back knee. You can play with that. See if your lower back wants that space. Shoulders away from the ears. Weight as even as you can get it between the two legs. Straighten the front leg. Lift the chest with both legs straight. Turn the toes to the right. Bring the hands together down in front of the heart. Toes out, heels in, just enough so that your knees and toes will go in the same direction. Start with the straight leg, squeezing all the leg muscles. Lift those up, lift the chest up. Now point the knees, bend the knees, lower down, not as low as you can go, a little higher than whatever your range, however low you typically go. Lift the lower belly, lengthen the tail. Neck is long. Gaze is forward. You always know your knees are in the right place if they're going right over the toes. If they're not in line with the toes, then make some adjustments. Most of us open up the feet too wide. Come back up to standing, point the toes straight forward, angle in the right toes, turn the left toes all the way out. Warrior 2, Virabhadrasana 2. Make sure you have some weight in the back leg and it's not all going in the left leg. Lift the chest. Straighten the front leg, lift that left palm up and all the way back, reverse triangle. Send that left knee straight forward, reverse warrior, still reaching up and away from the left leg. Windmill the hands down to the mat. Step back to plank pose, hover in chaturanga, lower down to the mat, tops of the feet down, reach the arms back, shalambhasana. And set the hands down, feet down, tuck the toes. Maybe chaturanga, it's lower than you think. All the way up to plank, hips up and back, downward facing dog. Bend the knees, look to the top of the mat. Walk, step, get the feet up between the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Take chair pose, Utkatasana. Bend the knees, reach the arms up. All the way up to standing, hands come together, down in front of the heart. Reach the arms up overhead. So Urdhva Hastasana, feel rooted through the legs, lift up through the chest. Then start to shift the weight over to the left foot. Bring the right knee up to hip height. Make sure the sit bones are level. Left arm reaches forward, right arm reaches back. You can keep the gaze forward if you want to. Right knee can be bent. If you want more, extend the right leg forward so the leg is straight. Maybe you turn the gaze to the right. Maybe you look at that back hand. Just try not to lift that outer right hip up. Gaze comes back forward. Reach the arms all the way back up. Urdhva Hastasana. Low tree. So sole the right foot inside the left calf. Outer hips hug in, chest lifts. That way you don't have to transition by grabbing the foot and bringing it up. And then you just get a nice hip opening on that right side. Step the feet side by side. You're back in Urdhva Hastasana. Arms reaching up right overhead, shoulders away from the ears. Keep the gaze eye level. Shift the weight over to the right foot. Lift the left knee up like you're going to take a big step forward. Right arm reaches forward, left arm reaches back. Maybe the knee stays bent. Maybe you extend that left leg forward, stand tall. Gaze can stay forward, or you can look to the left or at that backhand. Core's hugging in. That's what's helping you revolve in the twist. And you're pressing out through that left foot. Bring the gaze back forward, nice and slow. Arms reach up overhead. That low tree, sole the left foot inside the right calf. Stay away from the knee. Make sure the hips are pointing forward. Chest stays lifted. Feet side by side. Bend the knees. Sit back, chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Plant the hands, step back to plank pose, lower down halfway chaturanga, stay there, it's a little pause, set the body down to the mat, tops of the feet to the mat, reach back, lift up, Shalambhasana. Set the hands and the feet back down, press into the hands, tuck the toes, chaturanga, plank, down dog. Right leg lifts up and back. Knee to nose. Step the right foot all the way through. Feet hip width, crescent. Arms reach forward and up. Straighten the front leg. Still reaching up. Outer hips squeeze in toward the midline. Turn the toes to the left. Heels in, toes up, toes out. Keep the arms up. Bend the knees, goddess. Wide-legged squat. Cactus the arms. Take a big breath in through the nose. On the exhale, lion's breath. Stick the tongue out, bulge the eyes. Bring the hands together like prayer. Straighten the legs. Turn the toes to point forward. Angle in the left toes. Turn the right toes all the way out. Virabhadrasana 2, warrior 2. Flip the front palm up, straighten the front leg, reach up and back, reverse triangle. This time we'll take triangle. So come back up to standing, shift the hips back, bring that right arm forward, then down, and the left arm reaches up, Trikonasana. Turn that left palm to face behind you. Wrap the left arm behind the back. So taking a half bind if you'd like. Right palm can float up, reaching forward, engaging the core. And then take this to reverse warrior, option to keep the half bind. Bend that right knee, reach up and back with the right arm. Windmill the hands down to the mat. Step back to plank pose. You can always skip these. Lower down halfway chaturanga. All the way down to the mat. Shalambhasana. Arms reach back, chest reaches forward. Set the feet down, hands down, tuck the toes. Chaturanga or plank. Plank. Down dog. Left leg reaches up and back, knee to nose. Step the left foot all the way through. Set yourself up, crescent pose. Straighten both legs, lift the chest up high. With control, turn the toes to the right. Keep the arms lifted if you can. Heels in, toes out, chest stays lifted. Bend the knees, wide-legged squat. Long spine. Cactus the arms, elbows in line with the shoulders. Take a deep inhale in through the nose. Exhale, lion's breath. Bring the reach the arms out wide, straighten the legs, angle in the right toes, turn the left toes all the way out, warrior two. Flip the front palm up, straighten the front leg, reach up and back, reverse triangle. Come up to standing triangle. You can always shorten the stance for your triangle if you feel like the feet are too far apart. Right arm reaches up. Maybe turn the right palm to face behind you. Wrap the right arm behind the back. Find a shoulder opening here that feels good in your body. If you want more of a challenge, float the left arm up, palm facing up. Reverse warrior with or without the half bind. Windmill the hands down to the mat. Step back to plank pose. Lower down halfway chaturanga. All the way down onto your stomach. Tops of the feet down. Reach the arms back behind you. Shalambhasana. Set the feet down, hands down, tuck the toes, back to chaturanga, plank pose, down dog. So you'll notice, just breathe here in your downward facing dog. You'll notice in your Shalambhasana, you feel the whole back side of the body start to warm up. How does that influence the rest of your practice? Are you getting more support there? So it's something to think about. Bend the knees, look forward, step, walk, hop, get the feet up between the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Chair pose. Come up to standing, keep the arms up overhead, Urdhva Hastasana. So this is a yoga pose. You're stretching the legs down toward the mat. You're lifting the side body. You're trying not to lift the shoulders as you reach the arms up. Find your focal point, shift the weight over to the left foot, reach the right knee up to hip height. Stay here, or you could extend the right leg forward. Left arm forward, right arm back. You could stay like this. If you want to get fancy and grab the outer edge of the right foot, you can, especially if you feel like the right leg's open enough. You can have a bend in it too. But if it starts to mess up the hips, then just skip it and you can keep the leg extended. Change the gaze if you're looking for a challenge. Reach the arms all the way back up. Gazes forward, right foot inside the left calf. Keep that left leg as long as you can. Keep the chest lifted, hips going straight forward, but that right knee can point out. Right foot comes down, back to Urdhva Hastasana. And you start to feel the weight shift within the body once you have both legs down. Shift the weight over to the right foot, lift the left knee up. Maybe extend the leg forward. Right arm forward, left arm back. If you played with it on the first side, grab the outer edge of that left foot, extend the leg. Maybe you change the gaze, maybe you don't. Start to bring the gaze back forward. Reach the arms all the way up. Sole the left foot inside the right calf. Stand tall. Open up that left hip. Keep the hips and chest pointing straight forward. Left foot down by the right foot. Bend the knees, sit back, chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold, bend the knees, hands to the mat, step back to plank pose, lower down halfway chaturanga, all the way down to your stomach, a little different this time. Reach the arms back behind you, squeeze them together, hover the feet, lift and spread the chest, stay here, or you could play with bending the feet, bending the knees, sorry. Lift the thighs if you can do that. It's not going to feel like they're going to go anywhere. Stretch the legs back behind you, feet and hands down to the mat. Tuck the toes, chaturanga, plank, down dog. You may have felt the back on that one. Reach the right leg up and back, knee to nose. Right foot steps up between the hands, crescent pose. Straighten the front leg, lift the arms and the chest up, turn the toes to the right, heels in, toes out, bend the knees, wide-legged squat. Cactus the arms. Take an inhale, lion's breath on the exhale. Straighten the legs, arms reach out to the sides, left toes in, angle the right toes out, warrior two facing the top of the mat. Flip the front palm up, straighten the front leg, reach up and back, reverse triangle. Up to standing triangle. Option for the half bind, turn the left palm around, wrap it around the back. Maybe the right arm floats up. Reverse warrior. You could keep the left arm behind the back. You don't have to. And windmill the hands down to the mat. Step back to plank pose. Lower down halfway chaturanga, all the way down to your stomach, Shalambhasana. Stay like this, or you could play with bending the legs, bringing the heels in toward the glutes. See if you can lift the the thighs up, chest reaches up. Extend the legs, tuck the toes, hands to the mat, chaturanga, plank, down dog. Left leg reaches up and back, knee to nose. Step the left foot all the way through, crescent. Straighten the legs, lift up, turn the toes over to the right. Keep the arms lifted, heels in, toes out, goddess. Cactus the arms. Deep breath in through the nose. Exhale, lion's breath. Inhale, straighten the legs, turn the toes to point forward, arms out to the sides, angle in the right toes, turn the left toes out, warrior two. Flip the front palm up, straighten the front leg, reach up and back, reverse triangle. Up to standing triangle. Maybe we turn the right palm to face behind you, take the half bind. Left palm can float up, keep opening the chest to the sky. Reverse warrior. Windmill the hands down to the mat, stepping back to plank pose. Lower down halfway chaturanga, all the way down onto your stomach. Shalambhasana. Option to play with bending the knees. Only if your back feels strong and healthy and it's not bothering you at all. It's a fun challenge. Extend the legs back behind you, hands down, feet down, tuck the toes, back to chaturanga, plank pose, down dog. 2 more long breaths in downward facing dog. Bend the knees, look to the top of the mat, bring the feet up between the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Chair pose. This time, hug the right knee in toward the chest. Come up to standing. Level off the sit bones. Right arm reaches up overhead. Hang on to that hang on to that right knee or outer edge of the right foot, coming into your twisted Padangusthasana. Maybe you look to the right. Gaze comes forward, reach the arms up overhead, sole the right foot inside the left calf. Keep those hips pointing forward so that left inner thigh spinning back behind you. Right foot next to the left foot. Bend the knees, sit back, chair pose. Left knee comes in toward the chest. Come up to standing. Left arm up overhead. Hang on to the right knee or left knee or outer edge of the left foot. Left arm reaches back behind you. Gaze comes back forward, reach the arms up, sole the left foot inside the right calf. Outer hips hug in, lower belly lifts. Last Vrikshasana tree pose. Feet side by side. Bend the knees, sit back, chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold, bend the knees, bring the hands to the mat, step back to plank pose, lower down halfway chaturanga, all the way down onto your stomach. Reach the arms back behind you, hover the feet, Shalambhasana. If you're playing with it, bend the knees. Maybe you connect the hands with the ankles or the tops of the feet. Feet can be flexed or pointed. Press into the hands, lift the chest. Maybe you lift the thighs up off the mat. If the hands and the feet are connected, you're pressing them into one another. Lower back is long. And release. Let the feet go. Rest the head on the hands. You can stack the hands and rest the forehead down or bring the arms down by the sides and turn the head to one side. All right, lift the head up, reach the arms back behind you, hover the feet, Shalambhasana. Stay here or bend the knees. Stay here or grab the feet, ankles, whatever's right there. Lift up, maybe Dhanurasana. Knees aren't going wide. They're still hip width distance apart as best you can. Set the thighs down, relax the feet, the head. If you change the head to one side, do the other side or stack the hands the other way. Lift the feet up so you're bending the knees. You can move the knees, the feet side to side like windshield wipers if it doesn't bother your lower back. Some of us find a nice release there. So if you do, great. If you don't, skip it. Then set the feet down to the mat. Bring the hands back by the lower ribs. Tuck the toes. Last chaturanga. Plank pose. Down dog. Hug the belly in on your down dog. Hug the lowest front ribs in, shoulders toward the hips. So you feel the neck lengthen, the head go down toward the mat. Child's pose. Knees come down to the mat, big toes together, forehead comes down. You could keep the arms out in front of you, but it might be nice to bring the arms back behind you too. See which one feels more calming. Hands to the mat, lift the upper body up and away from the mat, bring the feet over to one side, come to seated on the mat. So we want the legs to be out in front of you. And we'll do just like we did standing tree pose. So bring the sole of the right foot inside the left leg. Both hips are down on the mat. You can bring the fingertips down by the sides to lift the chest up. Then open the chest to the right. So keep the legs, just turn the chest to point over toward the right knee, still sitting up as tall as you can. Back of the left hand could come to the right thigh, only to keep the upper body into the twist. Try to use the core to drive the twist not the left hand connecting with the right thigh. Gaze can go over the right shoulder if your neck's okay with that. But we always look in the direction we're twisting in as much as the neck will allow. Left toes, even though you can't see them, they're pointing up because you're pressing out through the sole of the left foot. Keep the body in the twist, just bring the gaze toward the left toes. Left arm comes forward inside the left leg, right arm reaches up and over. So both hips are down, you're opening the chest to the side. Now you're getting into that right side body again. Then look at the left toes. Right hand, it's that bottom hand comes to the inner edge of the left foot. Right hand comes to the outer edge of the left foot. So you're crossing the forearms, left arm underneath right arm. Rest the head down. Now you're just folding over this left leg. But we created some length on that right side of the back. So you want that right side of the back to be long. Hopefully there's a nice back opener, as well as hip opener, legs. So much happening here. Janu Shirshasana. Lift the head up, walk the hands back in toward the body. Use that right hand to bring the knee back to center. You can extend the right leg, grab onto the back of the left thigh, sole the left foot inside the right leg. Sit up tall, stay even on the hips, open the chest to the left, keep the fingertips down, see where you can get on your own without changing anything, opening the chest way back toward the back of the mat, maybe the back of the right hand to the left thigh, press out through the sole of the right foot. Body stays in the twist, just look forward at those right toes. Right arm inside the right leg, left arm reaches up and over. Getting into that left side body, left side of the back. Chest is trying to reach up toward the sky. Look at the right toes, right, that bottom hand inside of the right foot, left hand outside the right foot. And now you turn the chest to point down toward the mat, head coming down toward the right knee. Start to release, coming back up to seated. Use that left hand to bring the left leg back out in front of you. Reach the arms up on the inhale. On the exhale, forward fold over the legs. Paschimottanasana. Let the head and the neck go. You can easily reach the feet, go for it, but don't take the shoulders with you to get there. You can always bring the hands to the shins, blocks, or outside the legs. Start to rise back up to seated, soles of the feet to the mat. Scoot yourself forward so you have plenty of room to come down onto the mat. Arms down by the sides. Start with feet hip width distance apart, or I'm sorry, mat width distance apart, knees together. So same way we started practice. Close the eyes. Bring the hands on the body. So left hand on the heart, right hand on the belly. Stay here for Shavasana or separate the knees, extend the legs out in front of you. Shavasana could be here. Arms could be down by the sides if you don't want the hands on the body. So finding your version of a resting pose, corpse pose. Start to wiggle the fingers and the toes. Walk the feet in, bending the knees if you haven't already. Bring the knees in toward the chest. Rolling over to your right side if that's comfortable. You can cradle the head and the arm if you want to, closing the eyes or keeping them closed. Use the hands. Head's the last to come up to bring you up to seated. So keep the head low. Once you find your seat, you feel even on the hips. You can start to lift the chest. Gaze is still, eyes are closed, but gaze is going up between the eyebrows. Bring the hands together in front of you. Lengthen the elbows. So the arms, the upper arms feel long, chest is wide, heart is lifted. Bow the head, take a moment, honoring your own divine spirit within, along with everyone else around you. Bring the head back up, blink open the eyes. Namaste. Thanks, everyone. Feel free to change and play with your vinyasas. They don't always have to be the same thing we always do. So today was an example of that, and you can always skip things that don't work for you. All right, see you next time.